Welcome to the Illuminators, Changemakers in Senior Living, the podcast that explores the past, present, and future of senior living through the eyes of those who are transforming it from the inside out. I'm your host, Matt Motley, Chief Executive Officer of Illuminus, a faith-based, not-for-profit that aims to transform senior care for the better. Join me as I seek to reimagine the aging experience through an ongoing dialogue, where together we'll shed light on current issues and shine a light on a brighter tomorrow. Welcome back. Today I'm joined by Cheryl Meyer, former Director of Marquardt at Home, which has since transitioned to Commonheart. Cheryl is a leader who helped navigate us through one of the most significant organizational transitions in our company's history with the rebranding to Commonheart. Cheryl has been pivotal in driving the growth of Commonheart, leaving a lasting legacy. Her work in home-based care and her role in the shift to Commonheart identity gives her a unique lens on continuity, care delivery evolution, and organizational transformation. Her experience offers an intimate operational perspective on what it takes to guide a mission-driven senior care organization into a more scalable, future-ready model.
Ooh.
So how about that for an introduction?
Big words for just doing what I can.
So good to see you.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this. So we're going to talk a little bit, we're
Sure.
going to talk quite a bit about your experience with our organization.
Sure.
And you and I, we've known each other now 21 years.
Has it been that
It's
long?
been 21
Wow.
years. Started in my residency at Marquardt when
That's
you were
right.
the home health director.
And we always say, thank God for Matt, he got his cell phone.
That's right. That's right. Yes. That was fun to do that. And look at how we've evolved.
Oh,
now
yeah. Right.
into doing a podcast together. So why don't we just start from kind of the beginning? Just let's start by sharing how you got into nursing. What called you into the nursing profession?
Well, I got into nursing because my home economics teacher said, you need to go to this Catholic college. And nursing was their main focus. And I was going to be an anesthesiologist, And when I got there, I realized I kind of like to wake people. I kind of like to take care of people. So I just stayed in nursing. And that was in Mount Marty in Yankton, South Dakota.
That's right. You grew up in South Dakota.
I grew up in South Dakota. My husband was raising funds for the college, and he was originally from Beaver Dam. So when we met, he said, we had a bad winter, a usual winter for us, but a bad winter. And he said, all I want to do is move back to Wisconsin. I don't want to live in this state. So I said, okay, let's go. And we did. And that's how I ended up in Watertown.
And what year did you move to Watertown?
1979.
Okay. And you started your career at the hospital?
Yes. I started my career at the hospital. I went to the med-surg floor, worked there for, about 2 years, had a child, went to Dodge County, came back, all those good things. And then I was working for Dodge County, and they had started their home health agency, but had some problems. And so they asked me to come do that. And when I came, I think it was $10,000 worth of denials laying on the desk that I needed to clean.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Huh.
So it was interesting. I learned a lot about what Medicare wanted and how they wanted it and things like that. And, but we did it. And
that's where you first got your feet wet in home and community-based services.
Yes, absolutely. I was doing the home health at that time, and it was just fun. And then I was doing... How I changed from the hospital to Marquardt was I was over at Marquardt a lot. We got to see, going to their apartments, take care of their people, because at that time, Marquardt's home health did not do Medicare.
Okay.
And so it was a lot for these people to pay for those visits. So we did a lot of care there. When it opened up, I said, sure, I'll come over. Sherry Sira actually got me over.
Okay. Oh, I did not know that. Yeah. Okay. So she's
said,
the one who interviewed you?
She's the one that said, why don't you come over?
Okay. And was she a social worker in the nursing home?
Yes, she was at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she convinced you to come work at Marquardt.
Yep.
And when you got to Marquardt, the home health agency was unlicensed.
It was licensed, it just did not do Medicare.
Okay.
So we had to go in to get the Medicare certification.
Okay.
And so we worked on that. We got all that done. And, you know,
Okay.
they did a lot of private pay.
And you were the director at that time.
I was the director at that time. And I think we had, I think we were stretching at 45 patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we were really stretching it at that.
Yeah. When I started my residency in 2004, we had 9 staff and 45 patients.
Yep. I didn't go much. I didn't go far from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
45. Yeah. We were really little, you know.
And
So,
it stayed that way then for more than a decade, where it was about 45 patients.
yes. Yes. The Watertown, they had a home health agency. We had a home health agency. And we were about the same.
Yeah. You're
Just-
talking about the hospital.
The hospital. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Watertown Hospital.
Yeah.
Yes. And we stayed about the same. We were about 45 each, you know.
Right.
I know there was a lot more home health out there, but it was hard to get people to use it,
Right.
you know. So, and then you came. And my life changed.
And so let's get in and talk about that. Because when I did my residency, like I said, we had 9 staff, we had 45
Yep.
patients.
Yep.
And then it was in 2010 that I came back to the organization as the CEO, and we still had about 45 patients and probably still about 9 staff.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. We were still
But
very low.
financially, we weren't very viable,
No.
and we knew
No.
we had to grow in order to make it viable.
Right. We had to do something different.
Right.
You know, for sure.
So just talk about that a little bit,
Okay.
the growth years.
Yes. Well, we were losing money. We were not doing well. And then the hospital was growing, changing, and they wanted to get rid of their home health agency. So you and Richard, I believe it was?
I think it was John Kasanovich
John Kasanovich.
and
Okay.
Dwayne Floyd.
Oh, okay. They talked and we moved those patients over. So we went from 45 to 80. And it was a lot of work and it was not well coordinated. So I said, if we do this again, let's have some more coordination. So then all of a sudden, I don't know how you started with Fort.
Well, Kate Whipperfirth was on the board and
that's
said,
right.
hey, wait a minute here. If you're going to do that for Watertown Hospital, you can take on our home health agency. That's how it started.
Yes. So this little agency of 80 took on an agency of 120 patients.
Right.
So we really,
again.
and then we, you know, luckily Julie, our CFO, helped me interview all the staff and who we could take, who we couldn't, and things like that. And but it was a much more planned out transfer.
Right.
And we did well, and it went well. You know, a lot of the staff was angry, but
Well, it was such a transition. They had been
Yeah.
working for the hospital, and now they're going to work for a home health agency.
yes, and well, I always said that was the worst day of my life when we were standing there in front of these people, and they said, "Oh, by the way, we're closing our home health agency," and everybody's face went. And I said, "I'm never doing that. I'm never going to be on the end of that." So that's why we just always strive to keep forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And through that process, we created a hospice organization
Yes.
that you were also involved with.
Yes. Yes. I kind of hopped in and out of hospice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we worked on getting hospice going, and you know, because it was needed at the nursing home. There were a lot of hospices that wanted to be there, but you know, weren't giving the care that you wanted.
Right.
You know, so we worked on getting hospice. I think we did that in
2006
did we? Okay.
is when we started.
2006 is when we started.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was little, and that stayed little for a while.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah. And now it's grown into about 125 patients
excellent.
on hospice.
Excellent.
So, and on home health, we just hit 900 last week.
Woohoo.
So.
Wow.
So it's done well. So we did those 2 acquisitions. We did Watertown Hospital Home Health Agency. Then we did Fort Atkinson Home Health Agency,
That's
which
right.
gave us our second office
Yes.
at that time. And then from there, we really started to grow a relationship with UW.
Yes. Yes, we did. They were very happy with us. We could always take their patients out in the areas. And we really started working with them a lot. So, it was just really always a good relationship with the UW. They were very, very kind to us and very helpful. And then we used to work with their home health agency, their pharmacy, and I'm having a little,
Their infusion therapy.
yeah, I'm trying to remember the name.
Chartwell.
Chartwell, thank you. I was like, oh my God, how can I forget that? But we worked Chartwell a lot, and we did a lot of their visits, and so we just started expanding. We went from, and then when we took over Fort Atkinson, they told us we had to take babies,
Yes,
and we
that's
were
right.
always just over 65.
Yes, pediatrics for the first
So
time.
that was interesting.
Yeah.
We did have some peds, and luckily I had some nurses that had peds experience, but yeah,
Right.
we,
One of my favorite moments, this was back when I was doing my residency at Marquardt, and
Yeah.
I was with one of the aides for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. And you told me that we were going to go out into the community and we were going to bring a resident back to Marquardt because they did not have running water in their house. And I couldn't believe that that could even be possible in the year 2004.
Yep.
But
Yep.
sure enough, it was.
Yes.
That will stick with me forever. But just talk about the impact, if you will, of home health in the services that we provide to people in the community in their home.
Oh, sure. Oh, home health is, we always say it's the bridge. When you're ill in the hospital and you're at home, we're the bridge that helps you stay home. And that's one of the first things I would say to my patients when I talk to them. So how are we going to stop this from happening again?
Yeah.
You were in the hospital. How are we going to keep out of there? And they'd go, oh, okay, because they didn't want you to come.
Right.
I'm at home. Don't
Yeah.
come. But what we do is we just go into their house. I'm probably the nosiest nurse in the world. I look in everything. I look in their fridge and say, how do you get your food? Ooh, this looks bad. Okay, shut it. And we can see the whole patient. When I have them in the hospital, I'm in control. When we're in the home, they're in control.
Yeah.
I'm a visitor in their house.
Right.
And so it's very different. We find out that, when you say you're on low salt and you're eating soup and sausage every day, it's probably not working for you. So those are things you get to see when you're in the home.
Right.
You get to see, how do you do this? How do you get groceries? How do you get to the doctor? And because we're like, you can't even walk across the room.
Right.
We're going to have problems here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things that home health always has to have is we have to be able to say that we can take care of this patient, that we don't just come and go. We have to say that this patient's safe when we leave. So a lot of times we did go into the homes and then send them back to the hospital
Right.
and say, this person didn't move all night long. He didn't move, didn't go to the bathroom, didn't drink, didn't do anything. You're going back to the hospital now. So that's one of the things that was very difficult for people when we said, this isn't working.
Right.
So that's what we did. But we make sure that they know what their medication is. When you're discharging someone from the hospital, they tell you all your meds and you go, I got it. Out. And you get home and they go, I don't know how to take this med. Okay, let's read the directions and see what we're doing. We used to have people, I actually had one little lady bring a laundry basket and say, here's my meds. And I went, oh, okay, let's figure this out. She had meds in there that were 20 years old, but she said, I keep those because I take those every once in a while. And I'm like, no. But I learned never throw those away because I did once and I took it on the chin for the rest of the time I visited her. You threw my Lasix away. I said, it was 10 years old.
Right. I mean, the stories are, I remember you telling me about a story of a patient in Lake Mills, and they were having all kinds of complications, just bizarre things happening to them, and you're trying to figure out what it was, and finally realized that we had a patient taking their dog's medications. And that's when I realized, where you had shared with me that the blue containers are meant, those are pharmaceuticals for
Yeah.
animals, not for humans.
Yeah.
It,
I mean, just all sorts of things. One of my favorite stories is I knocked on the door of the main door of the house, and the woman comes to the door and she's just really angry at me. And she goes, "You're coming to see him, right?" And I said, "Yeah. Doesn't he live here? Am I at the wrong address?" And she goes, "No, he lives in the garage. I live in the house. Go to the garage." And I went, "Oh, okay." So, I mean, we had some really different
yeah,
lifestyles, but you just accept them and move on.
yeah. There was a story that I wonder if you could recall for us about a patient that you personally went to see on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh,
Do you remember this one
yes.
where you were
Yes.
going to take her a Thanksgiving meal?
Yes. We had a family that were severe hoarders because we had probably the size of this table to walk in the room and get back, shut the door behind you and get in. We made extra for Thanksgiving dinner, and I knew that she was a good cook, but I knew they were not able to buy a turkey, so we took meals over at home, and I knocked, and I looked in the window, and I'm like, he's hanging half in and half out of that chair. That's not quite right. So I went around to the kitchen, and the wife was so overwhelmed, she was hiding in a corner, and I finally had to yell through the door, "Let me in. I'm Cheryl." "Oh, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm trying to give you food." And so I finally got her to let me in. And so then I had to go back through the front door because you could only have one path, and so she let me in the front door, and we called 911 and we sent him off to the hospital. And he had had a stroke, and he came to Marquardt, but she was so overwhelmed, she was just hiding in they did not have running hot water. She did her laundry in a 5-gallon pail with a plunger.
Yeah.
And they were cleaner than my kids'
Yeah.
socks. So I said, okay, I guess that works, but yeah.
Well, and that story has stuck with me for two reasons. One, just the incredible dedication, not only on behalf of yourself, but all the staff that have worked
Yeah.
for you over the years, to take time out of your holiday to take a meal to one of our patients. But also, so that's one of the things that sticks with me. The other thing that sticks with me is just how needed the services are.
Oh, yes.
And it's so important in our communities to make sure that people have the care that they need. If home health or hospice nurses weren't there, there's a lot of people that would really struggle.
Well, not even just the physical care. I went into one home, and the lady had been, I can't remember what she had, but she had a turtle. It's a plastic thing that you snap on. It's called a turtle brace. And she was sitting there on her bed crying. And I said, "Why are you crying? You're home. What's going on?" She goes, "Look what he did." And I turned around, and the guy had placed a toilet. Just plumbed a toilet, put it right in the room. I said, "Oh, okay." There were ways around that. We didn't have to get a regular flushing toilet in here, but it's okay. And then as we were talking, she was a little more nervous, a little more scared. I said, "What's going on?" And she goes, "He took all her life savings and took it to the hospital and paid my bill." I said, "Oh my God." So I luckily got social services in there to get some of that money back for them, to work out a payment plan. But, she was just sitting there crying. I felt so bad for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she goes, "Look what he did to my bedroom." Look. Oh, well, that's done. I can't help that.
Oh, and there's hundreds and thousands of stories
Yeah.
like that over the course of your career.
And they do, the patients really do, look up to the nurses that come in. They want them, once they realize what they're trying to do. One of the things that a lot of people think is home health is just trying to get you back to the hospital. And I said, no, it's our job to keep you home. Oh, so, the nurses do a lot that they don't even know. They don't even know that they're, looking at the home condition, looking at how the fridge looks, looking at, did the pet get fed? Does the pet have water?
Right.
I know.
Talk a little bit. I'm interested to have you share with us about the Nightingale concept, the Nightingale visits. If you could just talk about those a
Oh,
little bit.
yes. Well, when I first came to the village, and for a long time, anybody at the village that needed help in the middle of the night, they'd just call us, and we'd go, and we called it the Nightingale. They used to call it Miller time. I said, no, 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 no. Miller was the name that was named the building, but I said, no, we can't call it Miller time. No, no. Even when it was Mueller time. But, so we used to just go in the middle of the night. We used to go see him. Okay, what's going on? A lot of times they'd call over the nursing home. The nursing home would call us and say, so and so's calling. But we had keys to all the buildings, so it was mostly only on campus, and we would just go and see them and see what was happening and what do we need to go to the hospital, what do we need help,
Right. Just
what are we gonna do?
anything needed to
Yeah.
meet the needs of our residents.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes not Nightingale, but sometimes we took jeans home and shortened them.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, they don't maybe even understand home health or appreciate it. But I mean, we serve patients in the jail, in the
Yes.
prisons at times, homeless individuals. Just talk a little bit about that work.
Yeah, homeless was very difficult because they were supposed to have an address. Medicare wants them to have an address. But sometimes you could say, are you staying here at the mission? Okay, we'll take this as an address. So we got to do a lot of that. Jail, that was always interesting. We had to go and, get checked in, and then we usually handed it over to the jail nurse if they were not on Huber or something like that, because they had to be there for the jail nurse to see them. But yeah, we did a lot of weird visits, like the one man that we used to bring in for a whirlpool bath because he didn't have any running water, and his house had already been condemned once, but they got him back in. And it was condemned because when they went to knock on the door, they couldn't see him anymore. The beer cans were covering behind him, behind his couch, and around him, and they couldn't even see him anymore. So they thought he was gone.
Right.
So but he needed a bath, and that's what we just brought him in, gave him a bath, and took him home. We usually had to scrounge around for some clean clothes. Sometimes we took our own towels to the homes because there weren't any clean towels, and we
Right.
used to have a little basket of soap that the aides would take with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Their trunk supply.
Yeah, their trunk supply is right. We'll bring our own soap, bring our own towels.
And you've been a nurse how many years?
Let's see, 49.
49.
40, no, 40, 45. Sorry,
45.
yeah.
So when you graduated, did you have the hat or did you have the scissors?
I
the
did. I
pin?
took a picture with my hat and pin.
Okay.
Yes.
So you had a hat and the pin.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So just share a little bit. How have you seen care evolve?
Wow. It's always interesting. I started out in the hospital and we did module at that time, and then we went to primary, and then it just keeps going around in circles. This is how you do it, in the hospital. I think that, they are so much more technical now that I ever was. We were much more the sit by your bed. We did all the training for, you're going to have surgery tomorrow, let me sign this consent. Now the nurses don't do that anymore.
Right.
The doctors come in and do that.
And when you say technical, you mean there's just a lot more equipment, more
a lot
technology.
more equipment. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. A lot more equipment, a lot more machines checking on what they're doing and things like that. It's changed so much in that area. And I think that's why I was so much more comfortable in the home, because you're one-on-one. Yes, you may get phone calls in the middle of your visit, but it's that patient. You can focus on that patient and what's happening with them and how you can make it better.
Yeah.
And how you can make, and not me make it better, how can they make it better? How can they fix this?
Mm-hmm. And so do you think that, was it just it was a slower pace 40 years ago than it is today from a nursing perspective?
Oh, I think so.
And were the demands more or less when you started versus when you finished?
Oh, I think I think the need is so much more, because there's not as many people going into nursing.
Yeah.
My age, I am the big glut of nursing.
Yeah.
After me,
Yeah. There's a
it
lot
goes
to it.
way down.
Right.
So we were the ones that went into nursing,
Right.
and now we're going to all retire.
What's been the biggest disappointing thing you've seen in the evolution of healthcare over the nearly 50 years?
I always worry about the caregiver, the nursing assistant, they're just not staying in it,
Yeah. The burnout
the
or the
burnout.
turnover.
Yes. And then I think that would be it. And people, and young people are just not going into nursing. If they're going into nursing, they're going in beyond, as my own daughter said, well, I'm not going to be a regular nurse. Oh, okay.
They
I'm
want
going
to
to be an
specialize.
NP.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, already she said, I'm not going to be a regular nurse.
Yeah. What when we think about NPs, how do you think that's changed healthcare? Because you started your career where that concept didn't even exist,
Not at all.
and you finished where it's become really prevalent.
I think it's wonderful because I think you get that expertise right at the bedside.
Yeah.
The nursing home is embraced it, and I think it's wonderful. You get to see somebody more often,
Right.
than you did the doc.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely changed healthcare for
Oh, it
sure.
has. I mean, I don't go to a doctor anymore. I go to
Right.
an NP.
Well, and I remember when that concept was being rolled out, the physicians thought the world was coming to an end.
Oh,
That it was
yes.
going to take their jobs, and now they get all excited if they don't have a nurse
Right.
practitioner involved.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's really changed so much, but I do think it's easier for your nursing home. I think that they'll probably put more MPs in home health as we go along.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that might be the big change for home health. Find a way to pay them to do the home care.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, we've seen it evolving now where we
Yes.
started with one and now I think we've got four and
And the hospice can use them,
Right.
but you're always behind. You're always trying to figure out what's the next best,
Right.
thing
Yeah.
to do.
So through your career as you were the administrator, the thing that you enjoyed the most was the hands-on, being with the patients and
Oh,
carrying a
absolutely.
caseload
Absolutely.
while you were trying to oversee
Yes.
a growing organization. Can you just talk about the importance to you personally of having that connection with patients?
Well, I always would say, let me go see this patient, that I understand why I'm doing this job. When I get back to that patient and they need you and they're thankful that you came, then you can say, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And I finally, in my last few years, I finally decided that the nurses were now my patients. And then that's what I needed to take care of. So, I kind of let go of the home care visits. But yeah, I just, those were my patients, to take care of them, to make sure, I didn't want to, their life, it's work. I always thought, this is what we call it, work. But it should be as, hassle-free as possible,
Yeah.
as you can make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to be that, okay, you don't have this, what do we do? How we can get this done? How can we do this? You need help with that. Oh, you got a patient that shouldn't be at home. Okay, what do we do?
Right. Well, and through your career, you've mentored hundreds of nurses, maybe more.
I have.
Just talk a little bit about what that means to you to mentor young professionals, and then what advice do you have for a young professional entering the nursing field today?
Well, I still teach at Madison College. Teach the CNA class, and I enjoy that. That's so much fun. And I take them I do the clinical. I do the fun part. And so we get there and we get to touch real people, talk to real people, and I love to watch them go, wow, these people are cool, And so I do try and push them. And what I tell them is, if you have any money issues, go to Madison College for your nursing, and then have your facility help pay for the rest. but you definitely need to get your BSN, and then probably will go on for a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
And so that's the advice you have for them.
yeah.
And looking back on the last, 4 decades, you'd say it's still a good profession.
Oh, well, I always said I could be as busy as I wanted or as little as I wanted. I used to have nurses that would come every fall and wanted a little job. I'll work a couple days a week. We called them appliance nurses. They wanted a new fridge, so they came and worked a little bit, and then they went home. So you could be full-time or you could be
Yeah.
very, very part-time.
Right.
And that's the cool thing about nursing. It is a good profession. We always chuckle about when I started working. I started at $4.90 an hour, and I was thrilled. $4.90. So yeah, it was a while ago. Let's just say that.
And so what excites you about the future of home and community-based services?
I just think that I know, now that I'm getting older, those patients are so much younger. I just don't understand how that happens, but they are very young now. But I think we're all saying, I'm not going to go to a nursing home until I have to. I'm not going to go until I'm on my last leg.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard to say when a nursing home owns you.
Yeah. I think that's the case for all of us. Not all of us want to stay independent as long as we can.
Absolutely. We want to stay in our home, and we want to, be there as long as we can.
Yeah.
Just to do what we can at home.
And so what do you think the future looks like for home and community-based services? You think it continues to become more and more prominent and more well accepted?
I do. I think it's going to just keep growing because I think people, don't stay in the hospital very long at all anymore.
Yeah.
And they need someone to still say, no, you have to take this med. When you go to the house and they have the new generic med and the original brand name med, and they're taking both of them, it's not good. So you learn to talk about that. And, that's the first thing I said, let's get those meds out.
Right.
Because they are very confusing. Because when they hear discharge out of the hospital, that's all they hear.
Things happen so much faster today.
Oh, yeah.
You're in and out of the hospital very
You are.
quickly. And
You are, which is
quick.
Okay. It's just that we got to step up and get somebody there to say, now this is what they said. Do you remember that? Probably
Right.
not.
Right. So you, I'm trying to think. Did you start at Marquardt in 92? 90 or 92?
93.
In 93.
Yes.
And what year did you officially retire?
23.
In 2020. Okay,
Yeah.
so 30 years.
Yep.
With the organization. That's incredible. That's
It
a
is.
long time.
It is.
When you think back on your legacy building what today is Commonheart, what are you most proud of?
I just really am proud that we always tried to give our best care. That's all I ever ask of my nurses is give your best care. Yes, we're all going to have days we don't do the best, but, give your best care. Make that patient feel like you want to be there. We talked about that for a long time. It's okay if you have a disgruntled employee when you're on a factory, but when you're in front of a patient, it's really hard to hide that.
Right. You can't have a bad day.
No, you have to put everything out. And we always said, take time in your car, calm yourself, get ready for that next patient. Let the other one go. Maybe he was crotchety. Maybe there was a problem. People just really have bad days. They really, they're frustrated.
Patients can have bad days, but the nurses
Yeah,
can't.
right. Absolutely. But no, just give the best care. Just do your best. And that's, all you can ever ask for every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's frustrating some
that's
days.
good advice.
And it's, you get calls from other ones that aren't supposed to be on the schedule.
Right.
And,
Right.
but yeah.
So let's talk a little bit, just transition a little bit and talk about the Commonheart branding, going from Marquardt at Home to Commonheart. When you first knew or heard that we were going to go through that branding and rename to Commonheart, what were some of your initial thoughts?
I think the initial thought was, oh, that's a big job. You know, oh, what are we going to do? You know, because I kept thinking all the different forms went through my head, all the different, you know, everything that we've done Marquardt for so long,
Yeah.
you know, and but you know, I think we did okay. I think it went well. I mean, it was fun, you know, to be, you know, I guess at the same time, it was something that I had to tell the staff, we're not selling. We're just strong enough to stand on our own. And that was a big thing to say to them.
Yeah.
You know, we are strong now and we're standing on our own. I just the other day I had someone say, you know, Marquardt sold off their home health agency. And I said, nope, they didn't. And they said, what? And I said, well, no, they didn't sell it. It just grew enough to be on its own. Oh, okay. I'm like,
Well, and you were responsible for most of the growth
yeah, I know. It's like,
over those
I
years.
know this. I got this down. I know this one.
Yeah.
But I said, no, they didn't sell their home health agency.
I remember when we first got the cars. This would have been just shortly after we got the Commonheart cars. I had gotten a call from the police department. You remember this, where individuals from the community were calling in, concerned that we were overworking you because they saw the vehicles all over town and they figured, how is it possible for you to serve that many people in a day?
When they said, you're everywhere, I said, yeah, I am. I didn't say we have 50 cars. I just said, yes, I am.
Well, and
I
that's
just
the
said-
essence of the home and community-based
Yeah.
services. We are wherever our patients need us.
Absolutely. And we were everywhere, you know, but it was amazing when we did get the cars, how many people called and said, I saw your car.
Yeah.
I saw your car.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I go home and my kids will often tell me, hey, I saw a Commonheart car today
Yep,
driving down the interstate or the highway or whatnot. So it's been fun over
it is.
over the
It
years.
has been, yes.
Yeah, one of the biggest changes that I've seen, medications have gotten a lot better,
Yeah,
and medical procedures have gotten a lot better, which allow people to rehab much quicker. I think about when
Absolutely.
a person would have a hip replacement, they'd be in a skilled nursing facility for 6 months. and
Absolutely.
now they go straight home onto home health. That's incredible.
that is weird.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, you think about the quality of life for individuals, it's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, so that's what I'm looking forward to. I think it'll be,
I mean, you have to remember when I started nursing, we kept everybody in bed.
yeah,
You know,
right. And now you're up and walking a few,
I know, you're
few hours
walking
after surgery,
after surgery, you know, and you go home.
right?
You know, I would never thought a hip would go home.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah.
it is amazing what I just think we keep developing, we keep moving forward.
The last question I have for you is you retired from full-time work with Commonheart in 2023,
Yes,
but you continue to teach.
yes.
What continues to draw you to teaching?
I love taking those aides that are thinking this is gross touching somebody's feet to being taking care of somebody. And, you know, I keep telling them, listen, if you put a cold washcloth on me when you're out in the world, I will let you know. You know, so I just like to make sure they have that basis. You know, a lot of my summer classes are pre-nursing because a lot of nursing will have you be a CNA now,
Yeah.
and so I'm always like, keep going,
Yeah.
keep going. You know,
So if you had the opportunity to go back in time and choose a career, would you choose nursing?
I would choose nursing. I would definitely. I've enjoyed my 45 years of nursing. I definitely would stay with that. I might have become a nurse practitioner, but you know that was way back in later in my life when that came out. So it wasn't profitable to do that. But I just really think that nursing has been a really good career for me. It's given me what I need. I can work anywhere. I can still work if I want to.
Right.
I mean, there's jobs
That's
out
good to
there
know.
everywhere. There's jobs out there everywhere. So, I just really could, I could do 2 days. I could do 1 day. I could do full time,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could keep up full time, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
I've always enjoyed nursing.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell all the years I've known you, I could definitely sense that. And your staff always appreciated you.
Well, we try. I try.
And
you know.
still do, because they oftentimes will still ask me if I've talked to you and how you're doing. The last question I have for you is, if you think about senior living 20 years from now, what radical changes would you like to see?
Ooh, okay, senior living. I think people are going to want to stay home, but I think maybe they're going to want services. Like, I think they might want someone to do laundry for them, and and we had that. We
Right.
had that in supportive home care.
Yeah.
But it kind of went by the wayside. But I think that they're going to want someone to do laundry, to clean the house for them, and take care of them for that reason.
Yeah.
know.
Stay in your home as long
Stay
as
in your
you
home
can,
as long as you can.
and maintain your independence.
I remember when I first started at Marquardt, I was over supportive home care also, which was the cleaning ladies, laundry ladies, and one of them brought me a letter, and it said, "To whom it may concern, I'm returning on April 1st from Florida. I would like my linens freshened and flowers on the table, please." And I went, I'm going to write that letter someday. I thought, oh my gosh, what a letter. And, of course, Mary said, I got it. I
Yeah.
said, okay, no problem. Flowers on the table when we arrive, please.
And that's what they got.
Yep.
Yeah. So Cheryl, thank you for coming and spending some time with me today. It's been a lot of fun. And thank you to everyone who watched. See you next time.